Heli direct! Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in this wonderful world. Introducing XL Power's the Nimbus 550. I want to thank Rod. This kit happened to get out right before the China lockdown, so I appreciate you guys on that. We are going to get into this kit. We are going to build this kit. We are going to look into the nooks and crannies of this kit and show you what it's all about. Here we go. I always love it when they send the kit or a package in their own tape that says XL Power or Futaba. I think we should have our own Heli Direct tape. What do you guys think? You agree? Supposedly my kit does not have a canopy. I was hoping that Rod was like, I'll surprise him with a canopy. So I hope I open this and see a canopy. I really would like a canopy. Canopy or no canopy? No canopy! When you open your kit, you will have a canopy. These look like side frames. Box 2, white landing gear, zip ties. We got our main gear here, blade holder, our motor pinion and motor bearing blocks, belt, tail box in here, has to be the main mast, plates, maybe radial plate standoffs for the canopy, motor plate, the servo mount. We got some flywheels in here, boom inserts, battery latch. Low parts count on this, I love it. This is for the main grips, Swashplate, feathering spindle. I should have a canopy coming soon. This should be, you guys see anything in there? Me either. Carbon tail pushrod, Z-boom. Cool. Well, this is gonna go together in no time. It's a very low parts count, so we should be good to go. Let's get busy. Always remember, when you are assembling a kit, to clean your screws. Start out with bag number 1. Also, what I really like, they put the screws in the actual part that you're putting together. So you don't have to go and search through other stuff to find these screws. They're already there. So please do not assemble this kit thinking that the screws are tightened down or already Loctite. They are not. You have to take them out, you have to clean them, and you have to apply your favorite Loctite to make sure it stays together in the air. I'm gonna use my favorite Bodo lube. I've used it on my last maybe 20, 30 birds. Hasn't let me down yet. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What you wanna do is, the instructions say to add a little Loctite around the race of this bearing here. I just always check it to make sure that it came to the factory like that. So to test it, just right on the outer race and just give it a little push. If it doesn't come out, then you know that they put Loctite in it. Never put any pressure on the middle of that bearing there in the inside, because you will damage the inner ring, which will make the bearing notchy. What you wanna do with thrust bearings is you wanna make sure that the looser inside bearing is down with the cup facing up. Want to make sure the smaller diameter is on the outside. See how that kind of sticks there? It's less movement. That's a correct assembly of a thrust bearing. Step 2, we're gonna put our main blade pitch arms on. Also in the instructions, you have the option to either putting the ball on the outside, which would be for more stable hovering. So if you're just like getting in forward flight, you want stability, you're gonna run those balls on the outside. If you're doing 3D hardcore crazy stuff, you're gonna go on the inside. So that's gonna affect my flight. So pay attention to that and make sure they're both matched. We are done with step number 2. Uno, dos, tres step. We are going to start putting the head together. Make sure when you're assembling that you don't accidentally throw out stuff. Make sure you look in the bag, shake it a little bit, look in the bubble wrap, just to make sure it's no craziness. As I said before, It comes partly assembled just to let you know where the screws are, but you have to take out everything, clean it, and reinsert it with Loctite. Please believe me, I've made that mistake as a newbie, saying, oh, it comes together. And then on the Maiden, your tail is in the pits and your blades are somewhere they shouldn't be. So keep that in mind. Let's stay safe while we're out here flying and having fun. Take a little bit of grease here, just a little bit. Put a little dab on the dampener there as you slide it in. A little bit here, and a little bit here. Same for the other side. A little bit in there. So you want to slide that in. Make sure you don't get any grease on the inside of the threads. If you do, take a small Allen wrench. Very easily, just go in and kind of once over on the threads. Don't go ham, because you can destroy the threads in there. Just kind of clean it out a little bit there. No biggie. Make sure both sides are even. Pay attention to this washer. It is meant to go outside from the blade grip into the head. So if this is the head, you want this flanged part to go in on that side. Repeat for both sides. If you're just new to building these types of helicopters or any bigger size helicopter, you want to make sure you get an Allen wrench for both sides to make sure that you torque both blade grip bolts down. You do not want any play, and you want this to be able to move freely. If it's not moving freely, that means you have your thrust bearings reversed or a washer missing or something misplaced in your assembly. But this is working perfectly. We are done with step 3. The head is looking nice. We are on to step 4. If you're a new builder, make sure you go through every screw. It was a brand new build, and I was out at the field with Matt Bodos, and we spooled it up, and thank God we were far enough from it. And it got to, I don't know, maybe 1700 RPMs, and both of the blades literally just ejected from the helicopter. They both let go at the same time, so the helicopter was sitting there like nothing ever happened. It definitely would have been in someone's stomach or their knee or something. I cannot stress enough the importance of cleaning each screw with alcohol and using your favorite Loctite. Some swear by blue, some swear by different kinds of blue, some swear by different kinds of red. There's several ways to do this. Ask the person that you trust. You know, I've had good luck with red. I don't use a lot, and I don't over tighten. I just snug it up nice and snug so the Loctite can do its job. We are officially done with step 4. We are on to step 5. Be careful of this little sliding pin here. Just don't lose it, because you might be trying to build really quickly. It slides out, or it's in a bag somewhere on the floor on the carpet, and it goes into another universe and you never find it again. So be careful with that. Feathering shaft. There's 2 holes here, a shorter distance to the end, and then there's one with a longer space in between the end. This end you want to put inside the head. You want to go inside here, like so. We are done with 5. We are on to step 6. Don't misplace this little shaft. I'm sure it's gonna come into play later. I think that's it. Got that done. Booyah. We are on to step 7. We are now putting the links together. There are 2 sets of links we're doing. There's one set for the swash to servo, and then there are 2 for the head for the pitch, going from the swash to the main arms. So those will be 15.5. You want to make sure you pay attention to the knotted notch on this side of this rod. It's backwards threaded. So to tighten it, you want to go lefty. There are two different rod sizes. So these are not the same as these. So make sure you match up the correct ones. So make sure you locate the ones with the bigger holes here that go with this, and the smaller ones with the swash rods. We are done with step 7. Step 8. This manual has gotten better the last few times. I believe that Keith Williams had something to do with that. I believe he went in and kind of cleaned it up and made it a little bit more simple for us over here in the US to kind of grasp. If you did, that was you, Keith. Thank you so much. So what you want to do, the knots, the dents in this piece here are for the screw side. So what you want to do is pass the screw through here, and then you want to go through the frame side. So it is flush and flat on this side, and you want to have the nuts on the other side. This looks to be a really simple build, low parts count. It lets you know the designer, Ra, only wanted what was important on this kit. This is for the battery tray guide. So what yours should look like is both of the battery tray rails should be on the inside, just like this, nuts on the outside. So check it out. So we just did the left side of the frame. I think what should be in the manual is to say, hey, this is side 1, and it should be completed in its entirety. This is side 2. However, I started it, but understand I got to put this back battery latch on. You'll see that it's fitted for a flathead. That's because it's supposed to meet this little guy on the other side. So listen, you want to put Loctite on these threads. If you're flying with no canopy and this battery comes out, it's gonna be all bad news. And you wanna add some, don't put a lot, just a little. You know, you just wanna get on all those threads. You're gonna take this and screw this in here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tighten that down. So what we're gonna do is tighten these down on the left side of the frame. So yeah, we've got 8, 9, and 10 steps. Dunzo. We're back, step 11. All right, so we got that done. All right, so I think we should stick these in here. You want the step to face the bearing. Put one in. We have a wheel pulley sandwich. Make sure they move nice and free. So now I believe we have step 11 done. All right, we are on to step 12. The back, the second hole here. Okay, and then it goes into, we should be going through this back hole here, lining up with this. Now we're starting to look like a frame here. Now we're putting in the boom supports, and you want them to be facing this way. The instructions say if you're looking at it from the back, you want the screw clamp style to be on your left for both. Make sure when you put these boom clamps in that you have the one with the screw on the outside towards the tail. Because if you don't, it gets in here. I had to, twist it from the inside. It's crazy, it takes too much time. Now remember, don't tighten everything down crazy tight. All right, got that side, boom. All right, do the next set of, line those holes up. Boom. Boom. Down to the bottom. Now, when you look at your boom clamps, you want to make sure that they are to the left and that your smaller screws go up top, larger screws down bottom. That concludes step 12. We are back. We are moving on to step 13. It's starting to look like a chopper. All right, so basically what we did on the right side, we're gonna do on the left side. We are done. Step 13 in the books. We are on to step 14. We are putting the landing gear on. The instructions said when you look at these bottom blocks here, make sure, see how they kind of nudge towards the top? That's how we want to install these. We want the screw holes a little bit closer to the top than the bottom. Boom, look at that. Isn't that nice looking? Step 14 done. Step 15, skids on the bird. 15 in the books. We are on to step 16. You have your servos, mounts, bearing block, collar, all in one to minimize parts, save weight. Very interesting, very interesting, very interesting. We're gonna put a little bit of, put a little green on that. Now, when I put green, you do not need a lot. You just wanna ease it on down the road. Just ease it on down. Try to keep it from getting towards the top of the bearing. You do not want that inside the bearing. So if any pushes up, you merely clean it off. We're going to do the same for this side here. We're going to drop this in this way. Work that in, so it drops in, and you should see it perfectly line up with the screws in the bottom here. They should line up perfectly. I don't know if you can see the little hole there. Boom, there it is. I really do like the design of how the servos are so close to the main shaft. We are done with step 16. All right, we are on to step 17. We have our servos. I'm going with mini servos. I'm going with the Futaba BLS 173 SV. These run at 1520 pulse. I think they can run at 760, not sure, but I'll figure that out later when I'm centering and programming and all that stuff. I'm running these servos because I mentioned before, these servos are dependable, but you don't hear about them much over here in the States because in Japan, they don't really run 550 size helis as much as we do over here in the States. So it really didn't get that much love, but I wanted to show some love to these little guys so they know that they're wanted and loved and cared about. But I actually called Ben Miner before I got these servos and asked him how they performed in a couple of his helis. He said they are stellar. He said the performance, they're quick, they're dependable, they're tough. So I said, hey, since I'm going with a light setup, I might as well run the BLS 173 SVs in mine as well. If they're good enough for Dr. Ben, they're good enough for me. done with step 17. We have our servos mounted into our servo mount, bearing block slash thing there, and it's time to move on to step 18. We are on to step 18. We are dropping the newly assembled servo mount plate into the frame. We already have the screws that are already inside the sides of the plate. We just got to find the holes, line them up, and do our thing. And I know this goes to the back because I saw Nick Maxwell's at the Amps Fun Fly. Step 18 completed. We are going to be mounting our gyro mount set, gyro plate mount set. We've got this step done in the books. Step 20, we are mounting the anti-rotation bracket gyro plate together, and we are inserting it into the frames. Boom. We have anti-rotation device in. We have the gyro mount mounted to the frames. Step 20 in the books. All right, we are on step 21. Now it's time to put on the canopy mounts. I don't have a canopy, so make sure you match up these holes correctly. There's a shorter distance here and a longer distance down here, and it's bowed this way. So you want to make sure that the M25 hole is towards the rear of the heli. The holes match up perfectly this way. Boom. Step is complete. We are on to step 22. Of course, I'm using the CGY 760R, one of the best out there, if not arguably the best. But like I said, everyone's preferences are that exactly, their preferences. What you want to do is mount this in on the servo horn. This is going to be about 17 millimeters out. Yours might differ. In the instructions, it says to go between 15 and 17. We are in step 23, and I think we are putting on the ESC plate. So I think what happens here is this. Looks like we are done. We are on to step 24. We're gonna use the tail push rod to slide this through the boom. We're gonna take the flange bearing, green, not a lot, snaps right in. No need to stress about the belt being straight or not as of yet. We'll figure that out as we go. Just make sure that it is in the tail housing unit. Bolt the tail housing unit in. Wait, is that right? Yeah, that's right. All right, this step is done. We are on to step 25. I will be hovering this thing pretty soon. So when you're assembling your tail assembly, everyone's might be a little different. So I'm not getting much play here, but it's just a little bit. So I'm gonna try and put that shim in there to see if I can knock that out. I got the washer in there and there's absolutely no play at all. Very smooth, no play at all. Beautiful. We are done with step 25. All right, we are back to step 26. We are installing the tail pitch lever support, rear belt idler pulley. Keeps the belt from slapping all over the place and getting off track. And we're gonna go through. Then pull a little pressure down on that belt and then slide the, let's see. Ooh, got it. Step is done. Step 27. I think we're putting the pitch slider on the tail unit. On step 28, make sure that you Loctite this. This is extremely important, the directions say, and I concur. This coming apart in the air is always no bueno. So make sure you pay attention to that. I would get them on all of them. Yes, all of that. Make sure you take your time threading that on. Hold that down. You have to look close because one of these has a number 1. The one that has the number 1 on it, you want to make sure that is facing towards the back of the helicopter. Now, because the number 1 is on this side, you want the other link facing the other way. All right, we are done with step 28. Step 29, and we're gonna install the thrust bearings and all that stuff and the shims and get it all nice and nice. As before, when we did the head, you want to make sure your thrust bearings are the right way, because if they're not, your chopper will not fly well at all. Bigger race is on the bottom, and that's towards the hub. Be very generous with your grease. Some people like to just put a little bit. I put a lot. Yes, it spins out. I don't care. Smaller race up at the top. We're gonna take that little yummy sandwich and we're gonna put that aside. We're gonna do the same thing over here. We are done. We are done with step 29. This is step 30. I tell you what, this thing goes together pretty quick. Whatever is on here has a reason it's on here, and that's it. There's no fluff. It's straight to the point. I am installing the main gear hub. says you may add grease to your one-way. So I'm gonna add a little bit of grease in there. I'm not gonna go Captain Kangaroo on it, just a little bit. We are done with step 30. Alrighty, we are on 31. We are putting the head on, we are putting the boom in, we're getting the main gear around the belt. There you go. Oh, there you go. I know this bird isn't finished being built, but it feels light already. Do you guys remember that pin that we pulled from the main shaft like 100 steps ago? That's what you want to do. You want to slide this pin in the main shaft here. Then the pin is in the bottom of the belt gear. Belt is going the right way. 31 is in the bag. 31, 32, and 33 steps pretty much are these. First of all, before you do any of that, make sure your tail box is aligned with the rest of the frames. So you don't want it cocked out to one side or the other. You want it straight up and down, and you can judge it by this output shaft of the tail. Make sure it is exactly sideways, almost across with the frame. Once you have that set, you want to tighten down the two collars here, right here and right here. There is a screw will pierce through the wall of this boom to lock in your position and your tightness on the belt here. We have to do our setup, get everything zeroed out, get the tail blades and main blades on. Before we do that, we have to install the tail push rod. Take the threaded piece and you go pretty much down onto the thread as much as you can and back off a couple turns so you can, have some leeway back or forth. Do that for both sides. I would advise doing that first. A 15-minute epoxy should not take terribly long. Rough up these ends just a little bit. Put a little bit inside, just over the top. Then you want to coat the end going in. And kind of make sure the outside surface of the rod connects. Do the same thing for the other side. I'll let you know when this step is done. Finishing up this 34, as you can see, I'll put my adhesive in there and then surrounded it with a little heat shrink tubing. All right, so I'm gonna install this on the boom, the actual tail push rod guide. Looked at one ball, look through the other one, and try to position it perfectly. What I'll do is drop this in here, snap that on one side, do the same with the tail, and make sure you are at 90 degrees on the bell crank in the back, 90 degrees with your servo in there. All right, the bell crank is 90 degrees here and here. Makes it a nice little even triangle. If you do get a little vibration in the tail push rod, actually a friend of mine, Mikkel Graham, he suggests to put a little heat shrink tubing over the middle so it's less room in there for that to kind of move around. I think we are done with step 34. Step 35. Here's the motor. It's a Pyro 650-103 Contronic competition level. This is supposed to be their creme de la creme of the 550 size. I've heard nothing but good things about it. And also I'm running the Contronic ESC as well, pairing up a motor and ESC from the same company. Longer flight times, motor and ESC run cooler. These are all the things I've heard. Have not tested it for myself, but I will in the Nimbus 550. Okay, now we're going to install the motor and make sure that that flat spot is where the set screw hole is. I just put a little red Loctite on there, not too much. I'm gonna easily thread it in. As you can see, this plate is raised on one side. That raised plate goes into this little indentation here. So you wanna put it in, or you wanna get your paper ready. You wanna make sure your gear mesh is perfect. What I would recommend doing is sliding a piece of paper in between the pinion gear and the main gear. Want to make sure it's nice and snug. You just want to thread them in. Don't go crazy. Find the hole. I have proper tension on here, not too much, but not too little. Just wanna make sure it's nice and snug. Tighten down on these motor mount screws. Little backlash in there, perfect. That motor looks purty, doesn't it? Hey, purty little motor. Feels very light. Love that side profile. We have the motor in here. Tension is perfect. Motor pinion's on. Everything's good. Last but not least, the ESC. Beautiful. Look at this. This is going to be the next to last step. Will be mounting the battery pack to the tray. And I'm going to figure out how to mount this on, maybe double-sided tape, some zip ties, something like that. We'll figure that out. I'll be right back. There it is. There we go. We are on the last step. That's right, the very last step of the assembly of this Nimbus 550. Now, I'm going to do all setup, like find zero pitch, all that stuff, set up my gyro, everything, get the ESC calibrated to everything. But I'm gonna do that after this. I'm not gonna film that because it's pretty boring and you guys know how to do that. If you do not know how to do that, check out Nick Wisdom's How to Build a 700 Helicopter. It's a raw 700 build he did. He started you from start to finish, what to look for, what to do, what not to do. But here's the last step. We're going to mount the battery to the battery tray. You should probably mount this after you have all the blades on so you can balance it and make sure the CG of the helicopter is correct. But just for this, I'm just going to kind of strap it in just so you know how it goes in. It's pretty simple. We have the battery mounted to the battery tray and boom, there we go. It's locked in. Now it's a helicopter. Done with the Nimbus 550. Oh, that's a sexy bird. Now we know all the controls are right. I'm gonna land it and put them idle up. My first thoughts on just bare bones setup, it feels very light. Now, I haven't really put balls to the wall yet, but it feels very light. Tracking is dead on. Hang time from the Rudder blade. Great first Maiden. So far, so good. I'm gonna turn up the head speed a little bit. Sean K style. What? What? Said I'm on his side. Okay. Okay.
Bam. That Nimbus is insane.
Is it?
This thing has got some power. It's light. Oh my gosh, this thing is so light. And
That's what
it in the air.
That's what I was saying when I was building it. I was like, it feels so light. It's like, and it's so agile, right?
Yeah, oh, it's incredible.
And that's stock settings. I did not do anything. I just basically plugged and play.
This thing is a beast.
Damn.
It's a perfect little helicopter for someone who's just wanting to beat the side of it and not worry about parts.
Right.
Oh man.
How those blades fly, man?
Blades fly great. They track super well. Big open maneuvers, they're great. Pops, they're great. Sounds fantastic too.
Don't you love the sound?
It sounds so
It's
good.
it's like a clean, like, I don't know, it's like a, Brian, what does it sound like a small jet or something? It's like a zzz, like a, oh, he's eating right now. Brian's eating. Sunflower seeds in his old man chair. Your hips stop working?
Hips not working.
That's funny.
So those are Azure blades?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Man, that Contronic motor and speed controller is cold.
Is it?
That is cold.
I love it.
That's nuts.
I love it.
I think we got a winning combination of electronics here.
Cool.
We got the 760 in that one, the Futaba servos.
It's not even warm.
No.
It's not even
cold.
warm.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And you're spinning this thing at what was it, 2,700?
That's 2,700.
100 RPMs.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The new Nimbus 550. Stop playing. Stop playing.